So Caleb Williams has officially declared for the NFL draft, and this only adds more fuel to the flame when it comes to QB discussions for the Chicago Bears. And it isn't necessarily an easy decision for Ryan Poles, and through extensive research and essentially scrolling through Twitter and seeing various perspectives on what the Bears should do, I've essentially come up with what I believe that the Bears should do given the current circumstances, given the current situation, given the current draft situation. There's a lot of things that the Bears can really do, and while it may be an infinite amount of choices, it's a very good position to be in if you're Ryan Poles, having to listen to offers, having to have the number one overall pick acquired from the Panthers. Thank you, Panthers. And being able to essentially set your organization up for success in the future. So for this video, I will be going over the two quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Caleb Williams, and seeing their stats, checking out their pros and cons between the two, and then essentially the factors for what I believe the Bears should consider when making a decision at the quarterback spot, and giving my final thoughts on the subject matter. To start off, Caleb Williams in college, when we're going over the 2023 season, has accumulated over 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions with an QBR rating of 82.4 and a completion percentage of 68% with 4 rushing touchdowns. However, he's also taken a lot of sacks over the course of those stats and has over 33 sacks taken. And if we were looking at Justin Fields' college stats back in 2020, and I'll also look into their stats for the Bears, Fields ended up in 2020 with 2,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions with a 70% completion percentage, and also took a lot of sacks in Ohio State with 21 sacks. His career stats, in 40 games, he has a 60% completion percentage with 6,600 total yards, with 40 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, and an 8 QBR rating of 82. In those 40 games, he also had 2,200 plus rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. Now for Caleb Williams, looking at the pros, he is electric on offense, has a very clear ability to move around in the pocket and escapability, has huge arm talent, and is creative when passing the ball. In eye test wise, you can tell his ability is great when it comes to putting that zip on, whether it's a sidearm throw or an off-balance throw. He's able to put a lot of power into that throw, and he has insanely good stat lines as well. Some of the cons include the fact that he takes a long time to throw, with an average about 3.25 seconds in the pocket, which isn't bad because he's able to maneuver around, but still something to consider when looking into him as a player. Takes a lot of sacks as a QB, not a big game time QB, which is 2-9 against like ranked teams in his conference, and fumbles a lot. He has 32 fumbles in 36 games. There are some character concerns when it comes to him refusing to talk to reporters after a loss. He's inexperienced with dealing with adversity and never made the playoffs, which isn't a huge deal when it comes to the grand scheme of drafting quarterbacks. The playoffs in general aren't that notable, but that's something to consider. Plays a lot of one-read concepts at USC and doesn't progress to his third or second read as well. And most of his sacks were a result of him holding onto the ball way too long, and that kind of goes to the previous point as said before. Some of Justin Fields' pros is that he's a very good leadership ability and has significant trust within the locker room and his wide receivers and whole team. And in terms of his offensive ability, he has great escapability and ability to throw the ball with enough time in the pocket. And when the pocket breaks down, he's able to maneuver and escape as well. his ability to incorporate his legs adds another level that teams have to plan for, and alongside his arm. And in college, he was known for his arm, but his running ability was developed when he was a Chicago Bear and adapted to the circumstances that were around him. He was also able to take a lot of hits and show that he can be a strong and tough QB, and also has flashes of arm talent when schemed accordingly. Now moving on to the cons, he holds onto the ball way too long and leads to sacks, and when the play breaks down, many times there are players that are open and he doesn't hit in stride when he doesn't take his first hitch. And there are questions about his ability to read the field. There are very few times he also can lead a comeback win for the offense, and is not very safe with the ball and very turnover prone when it comes to both interceptions and fumbles. Before we get into the next part of the video, I would like to thank everyone that are still watching this video right now, and if you don't mind, you could like and subscribe for more content similar to this one. And now, on to the next part of this video. So the question remains, who should the Bears go with for their quarterback in the upcoming season? Well, I think it depends on 3 of these factors. Number 1 is who is going to be at offensive coordinator and going to be on the offensive staff. 2, is the team rookie quarterback friendly? And 3, potential packages are going to be available for the Bears that they can get for the number 1 overall pick. All 3 of these factors are very important when you consider the state at which the Bears can draft a quarterback or retain Fields. So if we were to go with Caleb Williams, it would essentially reset the QB clock, meaning that we can defer paying him for potentially 5 more years, and he can be on a rookie contract that can allow us more flexibility within the cap space and allow us to sign more potential free agents to develop this team. And with the addition of a new offensive coordinator with a young QB, it can allow him to fit Caleb Williams into his schemes and coach him out of any detrimental habits that he already has from college. And the one key factor is that there are going to be increased expectations for the following season, meaning the Bears need to be in the playoffs. And this will increase more pressure for Caleb Williams to perform for the Chicago Bears in his first year. Since we moved off of Fields in this case and improved roster from last season, expectations for polls and management and fan base have increased for Caleb Williams to perform. Well, is it fair? No, but that's just how it goes. And Chicago media is brutal. And still building around Caleb and adding weapons and linemen to the draft is still possible for this team. And locker room chemistry with a rookie quarterback will definitely take time. And changing quarterback regimes take time to develop, and the respect for the QB's leadership also take a lot of time and change as well for the locker room. So if we stick with Fields, on the other hand, we pick up another year and have a potential to miss out on a new quarterback, which always still sucks no matter what situation you're in. And as we continue to build around him and trade the number 1 pick for more picks and quality pieces like last season, like for example, we draft a wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., we also add an offensive lineman, and this team could be even more special than it already is right now. He also handles himself very well with the media and has shown to be a leader in the locker room even when things aren't going well. Like, remember back in the beginning of the first part of the season when things were essentially falling apart for the Chicago Bears? Like, that would be insane for a rookie quarterback to handle. Not saying that it will happen, but the fact that Justin Fields took it upon himself to handle that situation really well, even when he did make some mistakes and blips in the media, he took it on added blame to himself, which is really good in the eyes of management and the eyes of the fan base. We can continue to add on to the growth that he's shown from this year, and from 3 wins to 7 wins to even be a potential playoff team next year in 2024. And disclaimer, I know this is going to be his 3rd offensive coordinator, but as a team, we need better scheming and find better ways to get receivers open for Fields to get through his progressions very well and thoroughly. And then Fields already has chemistry with this team. DJ Moore had career highs as a wide receiver this season. Cole Kmet has more career highs from the previous season with Justin Fields. And if we just add more weapons to it, Justin Fields and this offense can be very, very good with great scheming. That being said, this offseason is poised to be one of the most important offseasons in a long time for the Chicago Bears. And even more important than last season, given that we have the number one pick and the number one prospect sitting at that number one pick, makes this QB decision really hard with the current quarterback we have right now. And I believe finding the best available offensive coordinator is the best path to success for the upcoming years for the Chicago Bears. And an offensive coordinator that is creative with scheming, allows the quarterback to have options and develop their vision, and is from a relevant and distinguished coaching tree. And I'm not talking about no Belichick tree, no Matt LaFleur tree. No, I'm talking about like a Sean McVay tree or a Kyle Shanahan tree. All these trees are very welcome when it comes to the Chicago Bears. And with that offensive coordinator, let them also enter the discussion on who they believe they want to fit in their scheme, whether it's Justin Fields or taking Caleb Williams to fit their scheme way better. And then that makes the decision at quarterback and everything fall into place with what pieces to eventually add for that offensive coordinator and what pieces will fit the scheming for said quarterback. I think that this is the more methodical way of going about it rather than taking a quarterback and giving it to an offensive coordinator without any like rhyme or reason and being, hey, you should use this quarterback because we got him for you and you just have to make him fit your scheme. That's not the way to go, in my opinion. I believe that sticking with Justin Fields is the optimal way to go when it comes to the process because we already have chemistry built within this team. We just need an offensive coordinator that can allow him to be Justin Fields that we've seen in his first year and even in college, to be able to throw the ball with great scheming, great vision. And given that we saw what Luke Getsy has done with Justin Fields, a lot of the times Getsy wasn't able to scheme for Justin Fields and get his receivers to be open for majority of the time. I'm not saying that that's 100% that's the case, but for the most part, Fields and the offensive coordinator have been a huge disconnect. And being able to scheme for him is what I feel like is going to take him to the next step with a team that is built around him and further pieces added like a Marvin Harrison Jr., a better offensive line, a D line that can be developed through free agency. I think that's the best way to go about it. And I've been reading a lot of places about how people compare the CJ Stroud situation and taking a quarterback at the top position to be a home run success, but you really can't compare to the CJ Stroud situation to what the Bears are doing right now. Recency bias seeing a number 2 overall pick become an instant success and look like a veteran are essentially very, very slim nowadays, because the last time we saw that was really with Andrew Luck, who came out of the season like looking like an all-star essentially. And Stroud came into an organization that already had a solid blueprint when it comes to great coaching hires, pieces that added to his success, and a owner change as well. Like, they're not saying the Texans are perfect, but the coaching plays a significant factor when for a young year one quarterback. And if Caleb were to be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, there has to be expectations, fair or not, to be in the playoffs is essentially the goal for next year if we take Caleb. Even with Justin Fields, I'm not saying that he's out of the conversation of being in the playoffs, but there already is expectations for Caleb if he ends up being the quarterback. Because you currently have Fields, who is potential to take your team to the playoffs already, because if it weren't for 4 games that we blew, we would potentially be in playoff contention. And bringing in Caleb then has to mean that he has to be the solution for making a developed team way better than it already is. And I believe we can still do that with Fields and bring in a coordinator and staff to bring explosive plays to this offense. And there you have it. My conclusions to what the Bears should do this offseason. Obviously, there hasn't been any trades happening or any pick swaps or anything like that happened yet. So it's still up in the air with what Ryan Poles really wants to do. But this is my current opinion of what really needs to be done. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this commentary. Please like and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. I appreciate the love on the previous videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.